Shalom, everyone. My name is Eli Bialik from Nefesh B'Nefesh. I want to thank everybody for joining us today for the webinar on the topic of community. And today we are highlighting Netanya as a community for retirees and empty nesters. I'd like to say that we are thrilled to be able to have this programming available for you. And if you feel that you have a tentative Aliyah timeline of up to 10 months from today and you haven't yet submitted an Aliyah application, please go to the Nefesh B'Nefesh website, nbn.org.il, and there you'll find the online application. And we look forward to seeing you in Israel as soon as possible. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be having a presentation about the community, about Netanya, and then we're going to meet some of the local residents who will be sharing their experiences. And then afterwards, we're going to be opening up for questions and answers. Please, if you have any questions that you would like us to address during the webinar, please put it in the Q&A and not in the chat. We will do our best to answer all of the questions to the best of our ability. And you will receive our contact information in a follow-up communication so that if you have any questions that you feel still need to be answered, you'll be able to contact us directly. So what I would like to do now is to introduce our participants. Again, my name is Eli Bialik from Nefesh B'Nefesh. I am the community advisor, and I'd like to introduce you first to Andy Goldman. Andy made Aliyah with her dog Pee-wee from Henderson, Nevada in 2006. Andy is the Klita chairperson for Netanya AACI, the English-speaking community center, and is a Nefesh B'Nefesh Netanya community contact for seniors. Her passion is to help Olim have a safe landing in Israel. Paulette, who is also going to be speaking with us today, Paulette Wolf, president of Wolf Strategies, is a frequent lecturer in the areas of change management, audit, consulting, and performance measurement. Paulette is happily married with children and grandchildren in Israel and is co-chair of the Netanya AACI, the English-speaking community center. And in addition, we have David Raffel with us, who made Aliyah as a single retiree from Kansas City, though originally from Pennsylvania. He is a highly active senior, and David enjoys spending time with friends, bicycling, hiking, walking, and attending various lectures, concerts, and live entertainment. So we're happy to have all of you here. Welcome to all of the guests. Shalom.
Hello.
At this point in time, we would like to give you greetings from the mayor of Netanya. Bevakasha.
אני שמחה על ההזדמנות שניתנה לי להודות לארגון נפש בנפש שמאפשרת ליותר ויותר צעירים בעולם להיחשף למדינת ישראל. אין ספק שיש לנו מדינה מדהימה, הבית היחידי שיש לעם היהודי בעולם, הבית שהוא באמת באמת של כל יהודי. אבל בתוך הבית הנפלא הזה יש הרבה חדרים, והדבר הכי יפה והחדר הכי יפה זאת העיר נתניה. נתניה קלטה בשלושת העשורים האחרונים, אפשר לומר, 75,000 עולים, כמעט שליש מתושבי העיר, ומדברים בה את כל השפות. אין ספק שאנגלית היא שפה שלטת, רוסית, צרפתית, ושם גם עברית. אז אני בהחלט שמחה להזדמנות שיש לי להזמין את כל הצעירים, את כל היהודים הצעירים בעולם, לבוא למדינת ישראל, להכיר, להתחבר למדינה, להתחבר אלינו, ולבוא לגור כאן. בנתניה יש הרבה דוברי אנגלית, וכולם אוהבים להיות כאן. יש גם חיי קהילה, יש בתי כנסת, כמו שיהודים אוהבים, כל אחד בקהילה שלו, בתי כנסת לדוברי אנגלית, וגם דוברי צרפתית, וגם לאמהרית, גם לעברית וגם לרוסית. אז אנחנו מאוד מאוד גאים בעובדה שאנחנו עיר קולטת עלייה, ושאנחנו בעצם הריביירה של מדינת ישראל. היה כאן ראש עיריית ניס, אמר, וואי, נתניה יותר יפה מניס. היו כאן גם ממקומות אחרים בעולם, ואפילו מהפטון. ואמרו, נתניה יותר יפה, אין ספק, חוף הים, עיר הקודש ירושלים, כל מה שיש כאן, ובעיקר החום האנושי, החיבוק שאתם זוכים לו כשאתם באים הביתה אל המשפחה שלכם. אנחנו כולנו בני המשפחה שלכם. אז בואו אלינו, אנחנו נחבק אתכם. אפילו שבקורונה קצת אסור, אבל אנחנו נשמח לעשות את זה. ומבטיחה לכם שנעשה הכל שהקליטה שלכם תהיה מיטבית. I would like to say a few words in English. You know that Netanya is the most beautiful city in Israel after Jerusalem. And Netanya seems to be the Israeli Riviera. We have a lot of people, a lot of immigrants in the city, and I think every language that exists in the world, someone in the city speaks this language. And of course, Russia and French, and English, sometimes Hebrew, sometimes. Our city is so beautiful. We have the most beautiful beach, I think, in the world, not only in Israel. And everyone who comes here admire the beautiful city. And the most important thing is the resident, the citizen of Netanya. They are, they are embracing everyone who is coming here. You are a member of our wonderful family, and we would like you to come, to stay with us, to live here. I can promise you that we will do everything to make your life here wonderful life. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Mayor Miriam Freiberg, for your warm words. And it is my pleasure at this point in time to ask Andy Goldman to please present Netanya to us from your point of view.
Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome everybody to Netanya, which is my over the rainbow where dreams you dare to dream really do come true. I was fortunate to have taken a 10-day pilot trip around Israel in 2006. I saw many fine communities, but what really sold me on Netanya was living by the sea. I'm a Californian, and I used to go to Santa Monica, so the sea was very important to me. I liked the warmth of the English-speaking community and the various opportunities to volunteer or just relax and enjoy the different activities. Since I wasn't planning to have a car, I wanted a community that was flat, where I could walk and had excellent public transportation, buses, trains, and taxis that can take you anywhere within the city and the country. My dog Pee-wee and I made Aliyah on Mother's Day 2006. I worked directly with the Jewish agency and didn't have the benefits of the wonderful programs that are being provided today by Nevesh B'Nevesh. My Aliyah was my 7th trip to Israel. A very dear friend of mine, Rose, suggested that I join everything in order to belong and to be part of the community. Her good advice is why I am very active, and I'm on the board of many organizations. I came as a single woman, and I was welcomed by the community. It was very different than my lifestyle in America, where I was not always invited in America, but here in Israel, I was never alone for any of the Jewish holidays, and before COVID was invited often for Shabbat meals. As I mentioned, the friendliness of the community is shown by the action of the people. When I was taken to the city's local hospital, Ladianato, for emergency surgery in 2014, my dear friend Sue, who is membership chairperson of Netanya ACI, took my dog Pee-wee to the dog farm, which is located in a moshav near Netanya. She called my children in America, brought me my phone, which I didn't have, and during my 9-day stay in the hospital, she made sure people visited me, that I was not alone. We often celebrate July 4th, Thanksgiving, Jewish holidays, and it's fun to share these holidays with my American, British, Australian, South African, Israelis, Canadian, English-speaking friends who've become my family. I even feel safe walking alone, both during the night and during the day. I love going to town, to the mall, the grocery store, my fruit man, or to the beach. Outside exercise equipment is so common through Netanya. I often make a picnic lunch and eat it outside at the local park overlooking the sea. It's like being on a cruise ship. When I walk on the seaside promenade, it's not uncommon for me to see hikers because Netanya is part of the Israeli National Trail. Sometimes I feel like I'm on vacation 24/7 because within walking distance, I can go paragliding, rent a surfboard, kayak, wetsuit. You can find swimming pools, gyms, yoga centers, dance studios, and spas. It's vacation time. Before COVID, having coffee or lunch in the square with friends reminded me of Paris cafes. During the summer months, I'd feel like a tourist because of the free entertainment in the square, vendors selling their goods, and the town filled with people. Women, don't worry, Netanya does have professional hairstylists and manicure. I mean, this is important. My hairstylist, Ellie, used to work for Vidal Sassoon in Los
Not me.
Angeles. Pardon?
Different Ellie.
Different Ellie.
A different Ellie, I'm sorry. And I used to see Ellie before COVID. I haven't seen him for a year, and my hair is a protest to COVID. In America, I was never active in any organizations. Today, I'm the Klita person, or I like to say, welcome lady, for the Netanya ACI, the English-speaking community center for Netanya. Basically, what I do is I answer questions for those that are thinking about moving, in the process of moving, are moved. Coming to a new community and not knowing people, we try to introduce New Olim with members with similar backgrounds. David, Raffle, Paulette have been introduced to members many times, New Olims. The ACI offers a variety of programs from hiking, bike rides, lectures, drama group, choir, art classes, poetry groups, book talk, volunteering opportunities, and most important, a very knowledgeable counselor, Yanina, who has helped many of us. Also, Netanya ACI offers a large English library with online catalog. Now, if you like to read like I do, and you want a new book, you've got the library. Netanya has a wealth of English-speaking organizations and synagogues. For the next few minutes, let me introduce you to some of them. ATTAD, which I don't know what it represents, but it provides help for the aged. Their main purpose is to bring music and dance to the residents of retirement and nursing homes in Netanya's surrounding areas. Amuna Netanya raises funds for local Amuna kindergarten, lone soldiers and children's homes, even buying shoes for children that need shoes. 100% of the money raised is spent locally in Netanya. Their monthly programs are enjoyed by the community. Ezra Netanya offers lectures, social and culture activities, plus many volunteering opportunities. Forgotten People Fund help the Ethiopian community of Netanya. Garden of Netanya Masonic Lodge is very active and meets monthly. Yes, guys, there's Masons here. HOB, Association of British Immigrants, offers monthly programs including interesting speakers, musical programs, or quizzes. Annually, for Remembrance Day, we would go to Romley Cemetery for a very moving program, followed by a light meal at the UK Ambassador's Home. IPCA, Israel British Commonwealth Association, their objective is to encourage a strong relationship between Israel, British, and the Commonwealth. They hold an annual Balfour dinner, which, yes, we get to dress up, and it's well attended by ambassadors and by other dignitaries. Personally, I've had the privilege of meeting the ambassadors from Australia, Canada, UK, Cyprus, attaches of India and other countries. And I must admit that I really like when they call me by my first name. That never happened in America. Before COVID, we were invited to various ambassadors' residence. Now, I mentioned earlier how welcoming Netanya is. A perfect example is both HOB and IPCA are British organizations, but I'm an American, a non-Brit, and I'm on the board of both organizations. I also met my British partner, Elkin, at Remembrance Day. Laniado Hospital supporters, our local hospital has an active organization of English speakers who are involved in raising money for the hospital. We're very lucky to have this hospital. To give you an idea of the medical care that I received, if I was in America for the same procedure I had in 2014, I would have been kicked out in 4 days. The hospital, Laniado, kept me for 9 days because I would have gone home alone and nobody would have been able to help me. I verified with the hospital if they would still do that today in 2021, and they said yes. They also do mammograms, have a CT scan, MRI, COVID unit, and very caring doctors. My insurance company is Maccabi. They provide excellent speaking doctors, GP, ENT, cardiologists, urologists, gastros, and much more. And most of us in Netanya have already received our second COVID vaccination last month. Speaking of health, I want to mention the veterinarians in Netanya who are very caring. When Pee Wee was dying in 2017, my vet clearly explained the situation and gave me ideas of how I could help my best friend in his last days. There's a Netanya animal shelter where volunteers can help walk the dogs, and David told me about that one. Netanya Lawn Bowls Club. Now, if you know what lawn bowls is, you've got that at Wingate Institute. There's a Netanya Women's Rosh Kodesh group that offers monthly speakers. Thank you, Paulette, for bringing that to Netanya. There's a Shireen concerts that are held every Monday at noon time, chamber music program by Russian Olim, and the proceeds are to help the Russian community. Soldiers Welfare, or Yahad, raises funds to build clubhouses for soldiers. Before COVID, every few months we would take a bus ride around Israel to dedicate a clubhouse for the soldiers and socialize with them. There's a Telfed Netanya that helps the South Africans, just like Nevish B'Nevish helps us. Now, the synagogues in Netanya offers more than prayers and are very, very welcoming. Bet Israel is conservative. You can go bridge, Mahjong, advanced Hebrew, lectures, and Israeli dancing. Currently, services are on Zoom. McDonald's International Orthodox offers a large English library of general and Judaic books, weekly study groups with the rabbi, table tennis lectures, and more. Netanya Congregation Reform, I hope I pronounced it correctly, They offer weekly Zoom lectures of various subjects, currently on medicine, ethics, and Jewish sources. And I find these lectures very interesting. Their services are also on Zoom. Snack? No, it's not a meal. It's South Netanya Ashkenazi congregation. They offer daily Zoom coffee cafe for members to visit, Zoom lectures of various subjects. Yin, Young Israel North Netanya, Orthodox. They have a very active Monday afternoon club with some interesting speakers, Opan, and many other programs on Zoom. Young Israel of Ramat Poleg is Orthodox. They provide lectures and many exciting programs. And you can find the contact information for the shuls and the organizations I mentioned on the Netanya ACI website under useful information. Now, to the subject that is very important to everybody, real estate. Location, location, location.
Oh, you can't imagine. There are so many questions in the Q&A about real estate. So please
Oh, good.
share.
Sit back and let me help you. According to two English-speaking realtors from two different Netanya companies, Mark Verstandig and Maxine Marks, there are three main areas in the Anglo that we English people tend to go. North Netanya, property prices are approximately $450,000 to $1.1 million. Rentals from about 3,800 shekels per month and upwards. And to the rentals, you have to add your taxes, your HOA, and renter's insurance. McDonald Synagogue, Young Israel North Netanya, and Bet Israel and Netanya Reform are located in this area. Now there is Central Netanya, properties mainly with sea views, prices ranging from 750,000 to 1.5 million, depending on the development. And the city has a 2035 planned development in this area. It's similar to like when I lived in Thousand Oaks or Westlake Village, nice planned community with 23 high-rise apartment buildings, parks, city offices, shops, four natural four national reserves. And they're expanding the beaches, building a marina, yay, and piers. I often walk in this area and recently met a representative from Electra Builders who just broke ground for two tall buildings with 4 and 5 bedroom apartments, which will be surrounded by a park. The estimated occupancy is June 2024, so that gives you some time. And when I asked him about price, he said the price he would quote today might not be the same for tomorrow. You can see my cat back there. Pee-wee's gone, so I have cats. Snack is located in this area. Now there's South Netanya, which is known as Ramat Poleg and Iriamim. That's where David lives. Prices range from $600,000 to $2.3 million, and rentals are approximately $5,000 per month on up. Young Israel of Ramat Poleg is found in this area. And as I tell people, in order for you to have an idea of the property values for what you're looking for, to speak with a qualified realtor. Now, in conclusion, I hope I'm in time. If you're thinking about calling Netanya your home, you are welcome. You're really welcome. In order to have a safe landing, please ask questions and more questions. Plan your budget and add 10%. And realize Israel is a different country from where you currently live. Netanya is waiting for you. And feel free to contact me. My email address is welcome-to-netanya@gmail.com, or you can find me on the Nevish B'Nevish website for Netanya. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andy. And I just wanted to mention that at the conclusion, we will remind everybody of contact information. We'll be sending out an email within a day or two after the webinar of all of our contact information. So we look forward to having the opportunity to answer your questions, not only now, but also in the future. And it would be my pleasure Andy, would you like to introduce your friends and ask them to tell us about their experiences?
Lovely. I would like to introduce Paulette Wolf, who is one of the warmest ladies that I've ever met. Um, Paulette, you're the co-chair of Netanya ACI. You've made a difference for the community, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thanks, Sandy. But I learned so much from you. It's too bad I didn't know you before I made Aliyah. Right, so I'm going to give people a little bit about my background, and then I'm going to talk about what life has been for me in Netanya. I grew up in Muncie, New York. My husband and I made Aliyah from Queens. We had a daughter who came here for seminary after high school and basically never came home. She wanted to do Shana Bet. We said there's no such thing as Shana Bet, so she went to Bar Ilan University, and she's been here for about 16 years. She works for Leket Yisrael, which helps people who have food insecurity, so it's really a fabulous job. We had always planned on making an Aliyah. It was just a question of when. We came here in 2006 and bought our apartment, but we weren't ready to make Aliyah at that point because we were retiring. We weren't ready to retire. So we rented out over the years, and we'd come every year for Sukkot and maybe a few other times until we were ready to make Aliyah, which we did in 2016. It was the best decision we ever made in our lives. We are so happy here. To repeat what Andy said, it's a very, very social community. I mean, from the first week we were here, we had invitations for every Shabbat, lunch and dinner. We are very involved in the community. I'm on the board of the Young Israel. I just finished, we did a spiel. We videotaped each skit separately, so there were only 2 or 3 people in the room, and then the whole thing is stitched together as a single spiel, and then it's going to be sent out on Zoom after the Megillah reading. As Andy mentioned, I started a Rosh Chodesh program for women 3 years ago. We're just finishing up our 3rd year. It's very, very popular. And now that it's on Zoom, if any of you want to come in from wherever you are in the States or wherever, you're welcome to do so. We have some fabulous speakers. I'm also very active, although I know David is going to talk about being active. In the States, I had done a few triathlons, and here I do Pilates. I have a trainer. We have a group of women that walk every morning. We either walk on the Tayelet or we walk on the beach. And it's really great. Some of us run, some of us walk. We even walk on Shabbos in the afternoon when we feel like it's time to get out of the house, so we need a break. It's just being involved in AACI. I've only been here a few years, and together with my friend Melissa, we already became co-chairs. So we are super consumed by it. Actually, the texts start at 7 in the morning and they go till 10 o'clock at night, but we love it. I cheated and looked at a few questions in the Q&A, and I saw the question about Hebrew. I do speak Hebrew because I went to yeshiva as a kid, so I do speak Hebrew. My Hebrew was never fabulous, but I use it all the time everywhere I go, and people are very understanding. Israelis are really helpful, but you can absolutely get along without speaking Hebrew because I have plenty of friends who do not speak Hebrew, and they have no problems. The reason we ended up in Netanya, there's a lot of reasons. I won't go into all of them. My brother-in-law lives in Efrat, and he's been there over 25 years. And originally we started looking in Yerushalayim. The difference between what you can get in Yerushalayim for what you pay for compared to what you can get in Netanya and what you pay for is like night and day. We have a great apartment, we have a gym, we have a pool, we have a shomer 24 hours. I mean, and we're literally right on the beach. I mean, we just overlook the beach. The other reason is Yerushalayim is cold, rainy, and uphill, and Netanya is warm and sunny and on the beach. So for us, it was a no-brainer. When we want to go, when we need to go to Yerushalayim, we do. But the other reason, I'll be honest, that I really like Netanya is because as Andy said, it has a resort vibe and everybody gets along. So you have Chilonim and you have Datiim and you have French and you have Russian and you have Sephardim and you have Haredim and you have everybody, and they all get along. And it's just a really, really relaxed environment. And that's, a big part of why I love it so much. After so many years of working in Manhattan, and it was stressful and running and schedules and deadlines, it's great to sit in the cafe in the key car and have a cup of coffee and enjoy the sunshine and just get involved in stuff. As much, you don't have to do anything. You can come here and just veg it out and sit on your porch and look at the water. But if you want to volunteer and you want to become involved, there is absolutely so much to do here. I mean, we can't keep up. If I wanted to do something every single night of the week, which I don't, there's plenty to keep you occupied. So don't feel like you're moving out like to the middle of nowhere and that, for anything, to be able to do anything, you have to go to Yerushalayim. Netanya has every single thing. My husband gives 2 shiurim a week. He gives one on Tvila and one on Gemara. He has people in his class, he has women who never learned Gemara in their lives, and they are dedicated and loyal. So really everything you could possibly want or need is here in Netanya, and we look forward to meeting you. If you want to come to us for a Shabbos, just let me know. Our house is open.
Great. Paulette, I wanted to ask, perhaps you mentioned it and I didn't notice, what neighborhood do you live in?
Oh, I live in Nitza. It's in North Netanya. So we go to both shuls. We go to Yin, Young Israel North Netanya, and also McDonald's. We're shul tramps. We like going to more than one shul. There's also, if somebody asked about a Chabad, there's a Chabad here a few blocks from us as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Toda rabah, Paulette. Andy, I love your friends. Can you please introduce your next friend?
I'll be happy to. Can I also say that I am a Hebrew Opan dropout? I don't speak Hebrew at all, and I thrive. If I don't understand something, Google Translate, thank you. Anyway, I'd like to introduce David. Since the moment David, or even before David made Aliyah, he's just jumped right into the community. Anytime I needed help for him to speak to somebody who's thinking about making Aliyah, he just, yes, I'll do it. I'll do it. So David, please explain about your lifestyle here in Netanya.
Thanks, Andy. And by the way, I also speak very little Hebrew and have managed to get along just fine. I too was a dropout from Opan, and I survive. I'm surviving. So I made Aliyah as a single retiree about 2 years ago when I was 65. Moved here from Kansas City, where I had lived for the past 30 years, and essentially fulfilled a 50+ year long dream of mine that I never expected to realize. But life has a way of coming around, and so here I am. I now live in Ir Yamim, which is a southern part of Netanya, and I enjoy a whole host of activities. Yesterday, for example, I was hiking down in the south in the beautiful winter flowers that are blooming now in the northern Negev desert. In a couple weeks, I'm going to be up north hiking on the Yam to Yam trail for about 5 days. So, and you can also find me frequently on the Tayelet, either bicycling or walking. I do a lot of hiking though. I have a good friend who's been here for about 40 years, and he and I hike together twice a week, all in this central area. Now, why did I pick Netanya? When I was looking at making Aliyah, being in Kansas City, I wanted to live near the sea after being in Kansas City for 30 years. So I knew I wanted to be along the coast. So I was thinking about Nahariya, I was thinking about Caesarea, Hadera, and actually a friend of mine who I've become very close with, we're getting married hopefully here in the next few months, recommended Netanya. Thank you, thank you. And for me, my number one decision point was Netanya was on the sea, and that was my first requirement. Another requirement for me was that it's relatively flat. Since I like to do a lot of bicycling and walking, I didn't want to be in Haifa, a lot of hills in Haifa like there are in Yerushalayim. And Tel Aviv is too crowded and too busy and too expensive for me. So Netanya was a perfect choice. There's a large English-speaking community. I heard a statistic a couple weeks ago that there's over 5,000 English speakers here in Netanya amongst the current population of about 250,000. So a good English-speaking community. There's a number of English-speaking organizations like AACI, ESRA, and so forth. The cost of housing is relatively inexpensive here versus Tel Aviv and Yerushalayim. So that was important as well. But another factor for me was also access to go south, access to go north. It's easy to get to Tel Aviv. It's about a half an hour to get to the center of Tel Aviv. It's easy to get to Ben Gurion Airport. So it's a good location.
David, are you referring to getting there by car or by public transportation?
Car. Now it depends on the time of day. It could take to get to like downtown Tel Aviv or Ben Gurion Airport. It could take anywhere from a half an hour to an hour to 4 hours. Traffic is a consideration. Now I live south of downtown Netanya, so if I want to go to the center part of Netanya, I really need to have a car. So I'm leasing a car now, and that's worked out very well for me. So just in conclusion, I've gotten so engaged in a number of activities. Some have already been mentioned before, the concerts, the lectures. I even went down to Tel Aviv University to attend some archaeology classes before COVID set in, which was wonderful. So I love Netanya. After Kansas City and Netanya right now are my two favorite cities.
Fantastic.
Over to you, Ellie.
Thank you very much, David. You know, it's so nice to see people who are so enthusiastic about their communities, and I want to thank you so much for sharing your reasons for going to Netanya. And I see that many Olim would be happy to join you and to live active lives in Netanya. It seems to be a fantastic opportunity awaiting for so many of our Olim. I'd like to get to a couple of questions. And, you know, one of the questions I'd like to ask is about healthcare in Netanya. How is the healthcare for those who don't speak Hebrew? Can you manage in English? Are there English-speaking doctors? Does the system work well with you? You know, so whoever would like to comment, please let me know.
I have no problem. Since I don't speak Hebrew, my doctors all speak Hebrew. I even had an Arab doctor who speaks Hebrew.
English.
English. Thank you. I was just checking. At the local hospital, when I had my mammogram, they spoke English, so there's no problem.
I had my health insurance with Maccabi, and there's 4 main health insurance providers in Israel. I think Clalit is the biggest, but here in Netanya, Maccabi has a strong presence, as well as I think Miuchedet.
Let me just add, there are some Facebook sites, one called Secret Netanya and one called Netanya News. And those are places that people go on and they'll say, who can you recommend is a really good English-speaking orthopedist, or where can I find an English-speaking dermatologist, or whatever. And then people will write, and it's not just for doctors. I mean, people will say anything. Where can I buy this ingredient? Or, where can I get my shoes fixed? Or, whatever. But it's a really, really, really good resource. And also on the Netanya AACI website, we answer a lot of, even a lot of the questions I saw in terms of the trains and, all kinds of stuff. So there's so many resources for finding out the information you need. You won't be lost.
Fantastic. Thank you. And do you recommend, I noticed that, David mentioned before that he has a car and that he gets around by car and that it's convenient. How does public transportation work? Can a person manage in Netanya solely on public transportation?
Yes, you can. Before COVID, I would take the taxi to the train station. I could take the train down to Beersheba. I've taken it to Haifa. It's no problems.
By the
Yeah,
way, in addition to about trains, there's 3 different train stations in Netanya. One south, one in Sapir, a little bit south, and then the main train station just off downtown.
So the advantage about living in Netanya is, for me anyways, because I live on Nitsa, so everything is walkable. Literally, I mean, I can walk to almost every, I have a car, but I really only use it to leave, if I have to go from Netanya somewhere else. But in Netanya, we walk everywhere, to the restaurants and to the pharmacy and to Maccabi, the main Maccabi office. So pretty much wherever I need to get to, we walk. My husband and I walk to the shuk a lot of times. We get fresh vegetables. The one thing you'll have to adjust to moving to Israel is that they don't buy a month at a time at Costco like you do in the States. So you buy, if you need tomatoes, you buy for today and tomorrow, especially if you're retired, and then you buy fresh vegetables again. My husband buys 1 pita a day, so everything, you get used to having everything fresh here. And we walk just about everywhere we need to go. It's great. It really also keeps you very healthy.
Fantastic. Thank you. There's a question in the Q&A. Is the population mostly retiree, or are there young people and young families as well?
There are a lot of young families that mostly go to the Irimin, go south.
There's also Kiryat HaSharon, where my daughter, son-in-law, and their twin boys made Aliyah a year ago to Kiryat HaSharon, where there's a lot of young Dati Anglos and they have a wonderful, wonderful community. I think she's going to be on the Nefesh B'Nefesh thing that talks about that area. But yeah, there's tons of families. You see tons of kids and so many playgrounds. Like every 2 blocks, there's another playground.
And how about opportunities for doing Opan in Netanya? Is that readily available? Anybody know?
I'm a dropout. What do I know?
Yeah, there is an Opan. I don't know, what they're doing though now in the time of COVID.
Zoom. They're doing it on Zoom.
I also by Zoom. Yeah, I also dropped out of Opan. There's so much to do that. Plus, I couldn't sit still for more than 5 minutes anyway.
Okay. So what I wanted to mention is that one of the Aliyah benefits is that every Ole is entitled to free Opan, and that's something that you need to start within a year and a half of your Aliyah. You're not obligated to do it, but it's a wonderful benefit that's offered by the Israeli government.
One thing I would encourage potential Olim is to come to Netanya on a pilot trip. I came here for 45 days and got to experience it, got involved even before I moved here. And I would really encourage you to do a pilot trip here.
So that leads into my next question, because right now, because of COVID, it's currently difficult, or I should say right now it's impossible to come and make a pilot trip. And my question to you is, what do you feel is the best way or the best ways now to research Netanya other than coming physically for a visit?
Facebook groups. That's what I did also before, a year before I made Aliyah a couple years ago. I joined as many different Facebook groups. Paulette mentioned Secret Netanya, and asked questions. There's just tons of resources out there.
Thank you. Thank you. There is a question about a Sephardic and a Taimani synagogues. So I think it was related to during the talk. Netanya is a vibrant Israeli city where you have everything of everything. In other words, if you have it in Israel, you also have it in Netanya. So you'll have synagogues pretty much of every different flavor. You know, it's like Baskin Robbins where you get to choose between all the different flavors, and you'll have that throughout Israel, and for sure in Netanya.
I also want to mention, I saw some questions about crime. And as a New Yorker, you know, that was something that was always an issue. And here, and Andy can back me up on this, I walk home, you know, and I'm not out super late, but I can walk home by myself and I never have to worry. You walk through the Kikar, people are, you know, this is all non-COVID times, but people sit and have coffee and I walk around and it's not a concern. It's just not an issue. I know it's hard for you to understand that or believe that. You have to come here and actually experience it to realize that how safe it is.
One thing I'd like to say is the kindness of the people. When I first came, I wore heels, okay? And I did a lot of falling. And people would come and help me. Very different than when I was in New York, where people would walk by.
Or on you.
Kindness of the people. I never experienced before.
Thank you. There's a question. Is there an active gay community in Netanya or social groups for older gay guys? Are you familiar with the gay community?
There could be, but I'm not aware. There's got to be reason. I mean, I'm sure on Facebook there must be some way to find out. But yeah, going to
is you know, the sort of the center focus of the LGBTQ community, but you know, again, in Tel Aviv, you have the high costs and the density to deal with.
Yeah, but it might be a place to start. Contact people there, and then
Yeah.
they can tell you about.
If I may, I just posted a link to a very vibrant LGBT website that is a very good resource for the whole country. So if anybody wants to look in the chat, it's there.
Thank you very much, Josh. That was Josh Sussman, our co-pilot from Nefesh B'Nefesh for the webinar. So I'd like to invite Andy, if you'd like to make any final statements as far as you know, what you think is the best way for our Olim to move forward in planning their Aliyah to Netanya.
I always say, ask questions, and know that when you're moving to Israel, you're moving to a new country and things are different. Plan a budget, as I said. That's what I was told. And I was also told add 10% because it doesn't always work right. And when you come with an open mind. And I just hope everybody who moves to Israel that you have a safe landing. It's so important.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Paulette. Thank you, David.
Our pleasure.
This has been absolutely enjoyable for me to learn about Netanya, and I hope that our participants in today's webinar will continue with their own research and be in touch with us to find out more about the community. And we look forward to seeing everybody healthy in Israel. And like I said, when we started off the webinar, if you have not yet submitted your Aliyah application and you feel that you have a tentative timeline of up to 10 months from your Aliyah date, please go to the Nefesh B'Nefesh website, nbn.org.il, and submit an Aliyah application. Thank you so much to everybody. This has been wonderful.
Thank you. We look forward to welcoming you to Netanya.
Yes.
Hi, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Leave road.
Leave.